that I am 51. I'm recently 52. Hey, Facebook. So I'm going live in two different places today. This is the absolute first time I've ever gone live on Facebook and TikTok at the same time. I know it's only 2:30 in the afternoon. I know that some of y'all got to work, but I was thinking about going live later, but quite frankly, I'm exhausted. I have an early morning tomorrow, and I don't know if I will, but I had an idea. Not an idea, I had a thought, and I want to share that thought with the people because I think somebody else might need to hear it. Somebody else may need to hear it. And so the title of this today is Misalignment is Costing You. Now, we talk about alignment, being equally yoked, and understanding that, but misalignment is costing you. And the way that it came to me today, and if you are on Facebook, so for my TikTok people, hey, how y'all doing? I see y'all coming in. Facebook, I don't see anybody coming in just yet, and I can't really see any of you. So if you make a comment, be sure to let me know your name, who you are, and where you're commenting from. Not necessarily, you don't have to tell me all of that, but I cannot see who is here. So with that being said, I want to talk about misalignment and what made me think about that. So earlier today, right, for everybody who knows, I am 52 years old. I'm going through a divorce after almost 30 years together, right? So my TikTok folks might not know that. My Facebook folks, you should know that. You've been rocking with me since day one. TikTok's a little different. And every time I come on to TikTok and share, right, when I share on a live, I attract people who are just now meeting me. So if some of this sounds redundant to you, Facebook, just recognize there's something in here for you. But I want to talk about the whole process, right? The whole process of healing. That's where I've been. I've been in this place of healing, right? And y'all see my wicked tan line? Anyway, I've been in this place of healing. And what that looks like to heal intentionally. Thank you, Derek. Derek says I look 30. What it looks like to heal intentionally and really put yourself in a position to do that. And it started with a simple enough comment, right? I was thanking for someone for being supportive, right? Being supportive and still at the same time holding me accountable and seeing the best in me and helping me to achieve my goals, those types of things, right? And that person responded back, "You are so easy to love and dope at it F." Hey, Miss Gwen, you are easy to love. And it made me think, like, literally, I'm like, no, you're not doing this to me today. Because, like, literally, I just put my eyeliner on and I just put my lashes on. I was about to cry them all out because what it made me realize and recognize is how long I had felt in the context of some of these closer relationships unlovable. Unlovable to the point that I had people speaking things into my life about me that didn't feel like me, right? And what I recognized, right, because if I look on my memories in Facebook, I noticed that I had, it was like, you know how you have those on this day in Facebook? And on this day, I had posted something, and it was probably 4 or 5 years ago, and I said, just because they don't understand you doesn't mean that you're hard to understand. Maybe they just easily misunderstood, right? Maybe they misunderstood. Maybe the people in your life who can't love you, maybe it's not because you're not lovable, which sometimes becomes our go-to. Hey sis, I don't know who sis is who said hey sis on Facebook. I'm assuming it's Chantel. Is that you? Um, Maybe it's not that you aren't lovable. Maybe it's that you are in seasons and situations with people that, hey Tia, that are putting you in places with people that don't know how to love you, not because not because you're unlovable, because they're not capable of loving you, right? Um, Somebody said, "I want everyone to know this beautiful woman helped me stop crying." Oh, thanks, lady. People been abused so much they can't recognize what a good relationship is supposed to be like. Hey, Mary, just dropping by to show some love. Exactly. Hey, Katina. Exactly. So sometimes we find ourselves in situations that we are not aligned to, right? That it's not in alignment to who we are and how we are. And I remember being in the context of this relationship thinking, but I've got a really good heart. And I truly want the best for people, right? And when people think I'm talking about relationships, people always think that I'm just talking about my marriage. I'm talking about several relationships that I had. I'm talking about friendships that I had, close friendships that I had, people who were saying things to me that just didn't seem in alignment with who I knew myself to be. And yesterday on my live, I talked about, how we sometimes don't know ourselves. And so we have to depend on other people to tell us about us, right? And I recognize that sometimes the people telling us about us don't really see us. They see through the lens of their brokenness. They see through the lens of their limitations. And sometimes when you're in this place of misalignment in relationship, in the place that you should be seen the most, people aren't able to see you. So when I was on a docuseries for my, hey, Derek said, preach. He said, I went through that with my current wife. All she knew was abuse. Yeah, so sometimes and you have to recognize that, right? You have to recognize that people will see through their lens of abuse. But I was on this docuseries for my TikTok people. It's a docuseries. It's on Amazon Prime. It's called Love Exposed. And I was the coach therapist for that, right? But then we got all into my business, right? We got all into my business. But part of what I talked about, it was true intimacy, right? People say, I love you all day long. They say, I love you all day long, but really, true intimacy to me is to be seen. If you say, I see you over I love you, I accept that any day. I see you. Because what I want you to see is not just the flaws or the things that you don't believe are in alignment with who the best version of me, right? But do you see my heart? Do you see, like, I am a very loving, lovable person with good intentions who doesn't always get it right, because I am still, at the end of the day, another mere mortal, just a raggedy human like everybody else. But what I refuse to allow to happen anymore is for that misalignment to happen. And part of the reason that misalignment no longer happens is because I became a student of myself, outside of the context of people who would fix their mouth to say that I was toxic. Not that I had toxic traits, because here's the thing, we all have toxic traits. We all have toxic traits. Hey, Charlotte checking in. Changing legacies. Ooh, I like that name. We all have toxic traits and tendencies, but what's the core of the person? The core of the person, if you are with people, if you are in situations where it makes you feel like you are unlovable, it makes it feel like um, it's work for them to love you or to enjoy your presence. It's not, um, you're being tolerated instead of celebrated. That's misalignment. There's misalignment. You can't grow into the best version of yourself in that space. And so what I say to that is misalignment is costly. If you're not in the space of recognizing who you are when there's that tension in the shift, right? Like, that there's supposed to be something else, but there's that tension in that. And part of that is because you've gotten so caught up in other people's misperception of you that you forgot who you were. All right, so changing legacies, thank you. Just walking in my purpose, hence the name. Listen, that's what I do. I used to be referred to as your favorite dream pusher's dream pusher. Hey, Cherie said, God sent me here. Come on, girl, come on. Come on. Because there are people in your life who will celebrate you, who are excited about your existence, who don't make you feel like a hindrance. Your misalignment starts with you. You have to be aligned to who you are. You have to be understanding of who you are and how you are. So that when they start to tell you things about you that aren't you, that you can push back on that. Thank you, TikTok, for the followers. I appreciate you. You can push back on that. So I got a comment. My ex tolerated me. She was never about the relationship, only what she can get out of it. And sometimes, right, if we don't understand other people's motives, if we don't understand their motives, we don't understand the traumas that they carry, we don't understand how they were brought up, we don't understand the limiting beliefs that they have, it's easy for their stuff to become ours. People will project on you all day. People will project. And it wasn't until I got out of certain relationships that I could look at it and think about all the things they said to me. All the things they said. I once had a friend where I said to her, if your life is better without me, by all means, I want you to be happy because I want everybody to be happy. If that means that we're no longer friends, go be happy. She accused me of being manipulative. I couldn't connect how that was manipulation when I meant that. Like, yo, like in a relationship, if you're going to be happy without me, it may sadden me for a little while. I may not want it to go that way, but if you're going to be happier without me, by all means, go on. I want that for you. I want that for you. And so when they would say things like, that was very manipulative, I was like, was it? I wasn't trying to be manipulative, but maybe I am because I didn't understand me. I didn't understand me. Yes, Derek, exit stage left. So I got a comment on TikTok. I'm 50 and finally getting a divorce after 24 years. Woo, child. Let me tell you, there's a lot of us. There's a lot of us. If you are in that space and you are a woman, sorry guys, if you're a woman, feel free to join my free group. I have a free group called Shift Queens, shiftqueens.com, shiftqueens.com. Thank you, Derek or Duke, shiftqueens.com. And so here's what I know. Misalignment doesn't just start in relationships. It starts at home. It starts at work. It starts with friendships. It starts with you. So I have a comment from a Facebook user. I can't tell who you are. Relationships are so tough. Oh, wait, let me put it on screen. Relationships are so tough, especially when you love someone who you have very little in common with because it's difficult to align yourself with someone who works off of a different metric system. Oh, absolutely. And so when we talk about being equally yoked, when we talk about being equally yoked, right? We have to look at different things. Sometimes people are like, "Oh, do you match my finances? That do they match your mindset? Do they match your heart set? Do they match those things that are really important to real, true compatibility?" So I have somebody ask if they can ask me a question. Absolutely, you can ask me a question. The thing is, will I answer that question? I won't always answer all the questions, but feel free, ask whatever question you like. I've been pretty much an open book throughout this whole process because I recognize that my transparency has helped a lot of people. My transparency. I have somebody on TikTok who said that I helped them stop crying, and I've not met that person other than TikTok. Am I right? I've not met them other than TikTok. Me showing up and sharing my story. So absolutely, feel free to ask me a question. Feel free. I've learned a lot of things. Mostly, what I learned about myself is I am as good of a person as I thought I was, and that I allowed some people in my life who were not able or capable of loving me in the way that I deserve to be loved. Now, I'm not blaming them. I'm not blaming them. I can't do that, dude. I appreciate your honest discussion without bias. Thank you. Thank you. I try. But I recognize that everybody has their own limits, everybody has their own filters, everybody has their own way that they see the world. And just like I was telling a coaching client earlier today, we have to decide the limits and boundaries for ourselves. And so, where I was a little more loosey goose with who I allowed in my circle, now I only allow people in my circle who found me easy to love. You can't be around me if you don't find me easy to love. Can't do it just like that. Not today. I can't. I'll just scroll and stop because you're speaking and what I'm currently going through. Come on, sis. So yes, I'm finding my marriage to be difficult because of how I see myself and my values now. Yeah, and so there's part of, sometimes we change in the course of relationships, and that's fine. That's fine as long as we're changing into people who if we're still having conversations, right? If we're still having conversations and learning and knowing each other along the way, because I am not the same Rhonda at 52 that I was at 22. I would expect anyone to be. But as I'm changing and learning and evolving and knowing who that is for me, right? I expect for other people to do the same. I changed, my husband didn't want to. Had to learn to, you put live self, I'm imagine that's love self. Exactly. You have to learn how to love yourself. I'm afraid of any relationship because I never want to lose me again trying to make someone else happy. So here's what I would suggest, styled. Here's what I would suggest. I would suggest getting so sure-footed in who you are and how you are. And when I hear comments like that, right, I think about it as being less about trusting other people and more about us not trusting ourselves. It's less about we don't trust other people. It's that we don't trust ourselves. Like I don't trust myself to experience another betrayal. I don't trust what happens to me if I have another heartbreak. I don't trust my ability to bounce back or be resilient once that thing happens. So what I would say to you, Style, because you're deserving of relationships. We're designed for relationship. We're designed for relationship, and you're deserving of good, healthy relationships. But what I would say to you is allow yourself to build up trust within yourself by getting to know yourself, getting to understand yourself, getting to build your toolkit so that you are more confident in your ability to handle if someone mistreats you. And I get you. I was at a point where I was like, okay, God, I called off people twice in my life. I was like, okay, God, I'll help the people. I'll do the work that you want, but I will not do any more intimate relationships. And I mean women, men, intimate, where they're in my inner circle, where they know, where I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable. Because I was like, your people out here raggedy, and they ain't treating me right, and I'm not putting up good boundaries to demand that I be treated right. So I'm tapping out of that. Hey Chantel, I knew you was coming. I'm go fix my stuff on myself. I'm gonna handle it on myself. I'm gonna do what you called me to do, but I'm gonna live my life as a hermit. And he said, absolutely not. So for me, yes, Jerry Raggedy. So for me, hey, Ramel. So for me, I had to get more firmly, right, more firmly footed in my confidence and my ability to handle what does it look like when one of these mere mortals does some mere mortal shit. What does it look like when people don't see you for who you truly are? What does it look like when people don't know how to love you in the way that you deserve and desire to be loved? So I say to you, Style, don't be afraid of any relationship because you deserve relationship. You deserve relationships that are that are mutually beneficial to you, that feed you. We're not created to be alone. We absolutely are not. And I tried it. I tried it a couple times. Every time I tried, God is like, if you don't get your butt up out of here, you raggedy little human. Call me a raggedy human too. I'm a raggedy mere mortal. If you don't get your butt out here and go do the work I sent you to do, and then benefit from some of these deep, beautiful, mutually beneficial relationships that I've set up for you, and stop getting caught up in the okie doke and attaching yourself to people that I never meant or intended for you to be attached to. That's how God talked to me. Who was that said I came at the right time? So does that make sense, Style, by us? So I had to let someone go because he wasn't interested in learning to love me. Woo! Okay, Queen's girl. Anyone who's not interested in learning how to love you does not deserve to be loved by you in that way. I just said a word for somebody. I just said a word for somebody. Anybody who's not interested in learning how to love you, right? Because there's it's an art and it's a science. It's an art and it's a science. Like you may be easy to love, but then there's some nuances. There's some nooks and crannies. There's some places that you have to know. Like when I'm not speaking, what does that mean? And if you're not willing to learn that, then you don't get to be part of that intimate, part of that real good cherry on top love that I give to people. Because when I give it, when you give it, I imagine Queen's girl, because you had a higher expectation of what someone should be to come I'm getting a call to be able to love you, right? To be able to love you, you had a higher expectation. You had a higher what's that called when you're able to your entry, your barrier of entry is high. Some of us have a very, very low barrier of entry for who we allow in our inner circle. And I found that I was doing that because I was a very lovable, loving person. And so that meant people like being around me. But then there weren't a lot of people who knew how to love me. And so the people who didn't know how to love me had to let them go. Thank you. Who said this is amazing? Lashes, lippy, shoulder out. I see you, sis. Okay, girl. Look, you see the summer tan too. You see the summer tan. All right, so let's see. I changed my husband didn't want to. Okay, exactly. If a relationship feels one-sided, big red flag. So here's the thing that I'm not interested in anymore in my life. I'm not interested in any more one-sided relationships. No more one-sided relationships. It's all about mutual beneficiality. It's about reciprocity because I'm a love hard. I'm a give a lot. I'm a server. I was built to serve. And what I found was being in the wrong relationships was threatening my ability to serve in the way that God purposed me to. Because it was messing up my ability to serve the way that I was supposed to. And when it messed up my ability to serve the way that I was supposed to, it started to impact me. Because I know I'm built. I'm built to serve the people. I'm built to love hard. I'm built to long. I keep getting text messages, but I'm built to love people in a way and serve that my ego was starting to jeopardize because I was starting to believe that the people were mistreating it, they were mishandling it, and it was hurtful. It was hurtful, and because it hurt me, I wanted to avoid the hurt. And because I wanted to avoid the hurt, I was about to start building up some walls and shells. I'm not built to live behind the shell, but misalignment was costing me. Misalignment is costly. When somebody tells you, yeah, I understand, that thing you could do for other people, yeah, but I don't have that for you. Willing, ready, or able, not having the capacity, right? So yeah, a huge red flag. That's what I said. All right. That's exactly how I feel with my good heart that God gave. And here's the thing. Let me talk about that too. So what I had to do in that moment is I had to turn it over to God. So I have a video. It's not a TikTok. It's an IG reel that's going viral. My IG reel that's going viral is me sitting in a car with a green dress on, and it's playing "Let Go, Let God." That's sung by my dear friend Emorgia Roberson, who is like very talented. I just heard his voice and I was like, we got to use this because in this season I've let go and I let God. Letting go and let God meant that I was able to say to him, "Hey, Dr. T." I was able to say to God, "You know what? You gave me this. You gave me this big heart. You gave me this seeing the best in other people, which these raggedy mere mortals, right? Y'all know what I mean when I say raggedy mere mortals. What I say is these raggedy mere mortals, you cannot compete with my God. You cannot compete with what he said about me. You cannot compete with who he designed me to be. And so these raggedy mere mortals, like I'm one of them too. Don't get me wrong. I'm just as raggedy as the rest of y'all. Us raggedy mere mortals going around trying to tell other people what they should and shouldn't be. And so I was allowing these raggedy mere mortals to stop me from showing up in the way that God designed me to. And I was like, ooh, okay, God, like, I don't want to do this no more. I know how you designed me. I know the purpose you gave me. But you know what? Your people out here hurting me. They hurt my feelings. They breaking my heart. And I'm depressed behind it. I'm anxious about it. These people, they got me going in circles. But he didn't design me like that. And so I said, okay, I'm turning it over. Here's the thing, God, I'm going to love your people. I'm going to love them the way that you designed me to love them. And I'm going to let you deal with them. I'm going to let you deal with them. I'm going to let you deal with me. I'm going to detach from the outcome of my participation in their lives, right? Now, I still look at some folks with a side eye. You might not get all the goodness that Rhonda has in store, right? But what I'm going to do what I'm going to do is I'm going to show up as me, as the person who sees the best in other people, who's also been referred to as gullible. I've been called gullible because part of my gift is I see the best in other people, and I help people see the best in themselves. You see how that works? It's a two-edged. So I can't, if I turn that part off, then I'm turning off part of my assignment because of some mere mortals. So I'm going to keep doing what it is that I'm doing, right? I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because I recognize how costly misalignment is. That instead of aligning to people, I've made a covenant to align with myself and align with God and what it is that He called me to do. Align with God and what He called me to do. So someone says, please emphasize boundaries. People so underestimate the need these days. Come on now. And so here's the thing about boundaries. You can't just go out here and talk about you setting boundaries. You got to know, what are your values? What do you value? What's the non-negotiable for you? And when setting my boundaries, I can't set them with the expectation that somebody else is going to act one way or the other. My boundaries basically say that if you act in this way, I'm out. My boundaries going to say, if you act in this way, I'm going to push back. So boundaries, we throw that around, but I don't think people really know how to set boundaries. Oh, I got 22 messages on TikTok. I'm going to go over to Facebook real quick because I saw a message. I'm going to read some things. This is amazing. Yes, I see it. Hey, Tara. Reciprocity only. Yes. I often have wondered if I was expecting too much from others, but then I thought, why should my bar for others be set high when I have set it equally high for myself? Exactly. Set that bar. I always try to avoid hurt. So here's the thing that I had to reconcile with that. Always trying to avoid hurt. What trying to avoid hurt, I was basically saying I didn't trust God to be in that situation. So now I invite God into all the things. I'm like, okay, God, what we doing here? I invite you into the situation, and if there's a lesson for me in this, if I am extending the time that I'm supposed to be in this relationship longer than I'm supposed to, please, by all means, please, by all means, let's take care of that, right? Let me figure this out. Let me work this out with you instead of me learning this the hard way. Um, and then I also recognize that on the other side of some of my worst hurts have been some of my biggest blessings. And so for me, I had to reframe what it meant to even try and protect myself from things that I should allow God into. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? The detachment from the outcome is key to your sanity. It absolutely is. All right, so let me get to some of these TikTok comments. I've been working on me and decided not to get into a relationship again. It's been 6 years. Listen, so there's a lot to be said about making sure you have stabilized yourself and your foundation before you do any of that. So kudos to you. But what I will ask you is, how will you know when you're ready? And what does that ideal relationship look like to you? Right? It's been 6 years. So that's like, requires some, we're navigating different levels of relationships. What does that look like for you? So that's what I would encourage you to think about. So I got a question. Do you desire to be married again when the time is right? I absolutely do. And here's what's funny to me. I used to always say, if I ever divorce, I will never get married again. I ain't never doing this again. I used to say that. Like, if I ever divorce, I ain't never getting married again. But you know what? I do desire to do it in the right way. I do desire to do it in the right way. My I said my husband and I, we met, we were young. We didn't know ourselves well enough to even know how to show up for each other, right? So what would it look like for me, the 52-year-old version of me, who knows myself, who loves myself in a different way, who understands people and relationships better than I did then? What would that version of me look like in a happily ever after? But I'm perfectly fine being single too. Come on now. Perfectly fine. Thanks, it does. All right. Thank you, beautiful. You're welcome. Yes, you did. Yes, I did. Can only find broken men. So here's the thing that I would say to that. Get real intentional about what you're looking for. Get real intentional about what you're looking for. And I guess you should probably ask, what makes somebody broken? What does that look like to you? Yes, this is a word. Thanks, sis. Most were broken by their past relationships. I'm doing great, thank you. God has been dealing with me lately, but I definitely had to heal and love myself unconditionally. Yes, like we talk about it like it's easy. That made it feel like being gullible was a weakness. Oh, exactly. And it wasn't really gullible because I'm not stupid. I just really believe the best in people. I have a best friend that I've had since I was in second grade, right? Since I was in second grade. So it's always funny to me, like whenever I travel somewhere, if I travel by myself, she'll say to me, "Don't talk to no strangers." Now you know how you be. Don't be talking to people. Don't just be talking to people. I guess I need to promo my ebook that I wrote out. But she is always like, "Oh, you know how you always talking to people. Look, people are drawn to me. They are drawn to me. People are drawn to me, and they will tell me their deepest, darkest secrets." And I'm just like, I'm just out here living my life, being, one of the peoples. Yes, alignment. Ooh, that's good. All right, God is working on me now. But I kind of mean, and I just wouldn't want to do the work. Ooh, I missed what you said, Stephanie. I always see the good until the bad in them becomes a weight on me. So here's the thing about that style by us. It's a matter of seeing the good in people, but still having appropriate boundaries, right? So as I don't like mentioning this on the TikTok because people be trying to come for me. And wanted me to do work with them, but I'm a licensed therapist. And when I was in therapy school, right? In therapy school, they teach you how to have boundaries. Like you can see the best in people. Like I can give you unconditional positive regard because I believe that everybody has good in them. Not everybody knows how to access all of that good in them. Some people need some help getting to it. And I'm trained to be very non-judgmental. I'm not gonna judge you. Like you can come to me at your worst and I'll be like, oh, okay. So having that, but also understanding that I cannot judge you, but I can also make a decision that you don't get to be in my inner circle. You don't get to play with me, right? So I think that was part of it. And what was happening for me, at least in my personal relationships, I was just bringing people in there, assuming that people got me. I assumed that they understood me. I assumed, right? Not just off of um, what I said, but also my behaviors. Like my behaviors are often in alignment with what I say. And if nothing else, assuming, giving me the benefit of the doubt that I had the best of intentions. And so if you don't have people around you who assume that you have the best of intentions, and instead of giving you the deficit of the doubt, you have to recognize or you have to understand that perhaps they don't know you as well as you think they know you, as well as you would like to believe that they do. And then you respond accordingly. Okay. She said about remarrying if ever divorced. Been married 24 years now. Can't see starting this over. I was the same way. I get you. I get you. Hey, Latoya, I got my glasses from Zelo. I think that's how it's pronounced. Zeelool. I need to do some sort of venture partnership with them because I tell you, I get that all the time. People ask me about my glasses. Look, and I have another pair. Actually, I have 3 pair of glasses. Which ones y'all like better? But yeah, so that's where I got them from. But yeah, so I just want to come in real quick, and I'm really liking using this StreamYard. Yesterday, for those of you who are new to me on TikTok, I said I picked up a few new followers. Thank you for your follow. I appreciate you. Um, I wrote an ebook on healing. I wrote an ebook on healing, and it's the 10 things. I don't know who needs to hear this, but here are 10 things that will help you in your healing process, right? It's at healebook.com, HEAL ebook.com. It's a name your own price starting at $3. So you can pay $3 for it. Somebody paid $50 for it yesterday. You can pay whatever you want to pay for this book. And it's an ebook, and it flaps over real pretty, like, because I'm a visual learner and one of those. But one of the things that I found interesting is that the number of people that I've talked to who have said, you know what, I'm on this part of the ebook because I talk about auditing your inner circle and really looking at the people who are around you and what they bring to your life and is it in alignment with the life that you desire. And sometimes you have to recognize that sometimes you've allowed people in your inner circle who should have been on the outer rim. Sometimes you allow people to get too close to you in ways that impacts you, in ways that throws you off of alignment. Oh, okay. So I talk about this. I've talked about this probably in a couple different places, but when they did the planets way, way, way a long time ago. The astronomers, that's what they call, right? I was about to call astrologers, but that was the zodiac people. The astronomers, that's it, astronomers. Um, wait, what's the name of your book again, and where can I purchase it? The link is going at the bottom, healebook.com. You'll see it's going across the screen. But they were looking at the planets, right? And because they looked at the planets, and they started to study the planets, they can understand the orbit. They could predict the orbit of the planets, right? They could predict at this time, right? In the same way that they could tell you what time the sun's going to rise, what time the sun's going to set. Like, we know this to the T. Like, they could tell us at 9:24 tonight, the sun will set. Well, what they were finding was that there was one of those planets that they would think that they would know what it was going to do, and then it would do something that knocked it off its axis. Like, they couldn't predict it. It made that planet very predictable. And so it wasn't until 100 years later, when they got stronger telescopes, were they able to identify that there was another planet that was dictating the orbit of the mystery planet, that was doing things that they didn't understand. With that, I'll say to you that there are some of us, because we have not done the work in ourselves, right? And when I tell you, I work with very high functioning, high achieving 6 and 7 figure women, very successful women who have accolades. They work in all kinds of professional environments. I have international clients. I have all of that, right? But what I find as a theme is a lot of these women have put so much, so much work, so much time, so much effort into mastering these things on the outside, that they left themselves for last. And because they left themselves for last, they get to the point where they get all of the things, that should make them happy, that should make them feel fulfilled, and they're not happy and fulfilled. They don't know what their extra planet is that's throwing the other one off of orbit. So I encourage you all to get aligned with who you are. That means that you're going to have to do some deep dives. That means you're going to have to ask yourself some good questions. That means you're going to have to take some time and sit with the answers. That means you can't rush yourself through this process. That means you can't wish yourself through this process. That means you can't pretty the process, because it's not always pretty. There were times in my healing process where I was ugly crying. And I try not to ugly cry. I don't like crying. But it had to be released. It had to be released. It had to be released to allow me to navigate and get to the places that I need to be. What are you keeping held up that's throwing you off, that's keeping you out of alignment with yourself, so that you are only drawing people to you who are planets that you can't predict, because you don't have a telescope strong enough to see within you and within them. Come on now. Come on now, somebody. Come on now, somebody. Come on. You gotta get the right telescope. So she said, I'm really glad I took off work today, because I would have missed this great knowledge. Come on, sis. I'll tell you what, if you want more access to this, make sure you join my group. I have a free community at shiftqueens.com. All of the links to my contact information is in my bio. Shiftqueens.com will get you a request into my group. Answer those 3 questions, and my assistant will let you in. But in there, I do some one-on-ones, not some one-on-ones. I don't do one-on-ones. Now, I do one-on-ones. One-on-ones, you have to go to rhondaletstalk.com and book your one-on-one session. And that'll cost you. This group is a free group. Well, it's no cost. It costs me something, because I show up in my full expertise. And it's pretty much my give back for a lot of people who are going through the same thing. So feel free to join it. If you are a woman in some level of shift or transition in your life, if you're a woman who can use the support of other women, if you are a woman who just wants to be around that energy, right? Occasionally I pop in there. I'm actually popping in there now. Occasionally I pop in there and there's more access. So yeah, I'm glad you took off today too, because I almost didn't go live because I was like, I should really go live later, but I'm tired right now. And I have an early day tomorrow, taking my baby girl to live the life of her dream and all of that. So website again is healebook.com. It's linked in the bio. I think it's even linked in the description here. HEALEBOOK.com. Healebook.com. It starts at $3. You can pay as much for it as you want. It was my birthday gift to y'all. Y'all know my birthday was last week. So now if y'all catch me keep saying I'm 51 and divorcing, call me out. Although I do repurpose content sometimes, so you will see me saying I'm 51 and divorcing, even though I'm 52 and nearly divorced. Y'all want to see what I got here? It's them papers. The papers have been signed. The group is shiftqueens.com. Shiftqueens.com. Again, any information you need from me, go to my bio, and there's a link, rhondagipsonwillis.com, and it has all of my links in it. All of my links are there. It's like my thing. All right, rhondagipsonwillis.com. Healebook.com. I tell you, if you don't do anything else but pay your $3 for that book and answer one of those questions, because it has probably 18 or 19 questions, I can't remember, but I have coaching questions that I created based off the things that I wrote. What I would suggest you do is get you a journal, and after you read the first part, like, I don't know who needs to hear this, but it'll have a little narrative, write a reflection, and then answer the questions after it and sit with it. Don't rush through it. Don't rush through it. Don't rush through it. But what I'm also working on is a workbook, because I started working on a workbook a while ago and I never did anything with it. So I will be launching that as well. Now, it won't be $3. So don't get used to my stuff being $3 and name your own price. That was just because of my birthday. I was trying to get y'all some birthday stuff. All right. So I'm going to go and give me some rest. I got some things to do. And I may pop back in later for the later crew. I used to go live all the time around 10, 11 o'clock at night. I'll probably do that again. So TikTok, if you're not following me, make sure you give me a follow. I see how y'all showing up. TikTok, they gave me 1,600 likes. Meanwhile, Facebook, I got 8. See, this is why Facebook, this is why I left y'all. I'm just kidding. I just show up for the one person. And y'all see how good my camera is? I just show up for the one person. So if you get it, you get it. Thank you, Big Barry, for the birthday wishes. What's the group size? The group, my community is at about 750, I believe, 750 people. When I first started talking about it, it had like 40. So if you want to be in a smaller group type situation, that is also something I'm working on, something I've been convicted about. I need to offer an opportunity for people to be in a smaller space and get more access to me. So just know that's coming up as well. I did a masterclass last year in February. It's probably time for me to do another masterclass. It's time for me to do another masterclass where I give some good old learning and give people a good foundation. So be on the lookout for that as well. So if you are not, even if you don't choose to go into the group, go to shiftqueens.com. That'll get you on the mailing list. Okay. With that being said, I appreciate you all. Thank you for riding with me this time of the afternoon. And I'll see y'all on the other side. Okay. Bye.